we're showing everybody. All right. Well, I am in Andrew's seat, and I am not Andrew. I am David Nicastro.
Hi, Dave.
I am his brother. Hi, V. Hi, Andrew. Andrew's in a different seat, and you're going to find out why.
It is a comfy seat, though.
I usually keep it hot for you.
It is hot.
It is the hot seat. I'm going to give you a call to action. It's something we always want to start with, and this is the reason we're even here. It's to quiet the stigma of mental illness, post-traumatic stress, suicidal ideologies, and all that other crap we vets can muster up. And how do we do this? We do this by storytelling, exposing what's going on inside our brain, and that thought process we do, and that roller coaster ride we can go on as veterans. And how do we do this? We do this with help. We do it with peer support, like me and V. We do this with the help of professionals. We brought in many family members, my brother Andrew, and just moms and everyone out there that's a family member in this community. So we got to do this as a family. The slide of resources is up there. We haven't done this in a few episodes, so we want to do it again to remind everybody. The most important one up there for us veterans is the crisis line. At any time, if you feel like any crisis, doesn't have to just be suicide, anything having to do with your mind, please dial 988, then press number 1. You can also text 838-255, and you can chat online 24/7. It's all these different avenues. Please talk to someone. My friend V here, Service Director of the Gloucester Veteran Services, 978-281-9740. Please connect with her. Go down there and connect with these veterans, connect with her. Lowell Vet Center, Tiffany Lever was episode 9, is up there as well, 978-453-1151. But connect with V first. She'll get you involved.
I'll connect you with those resources, absolutely.
Yeah, and then we're going to put up the Welcome Home Initiative 2024 retreat schedule. There it is. Women, veteran, you have a retreat coming up April 15th through 17th. It's totally free. It's a scholarship in the middle of the woods, the hills, the sounds, everything, free food. I will be there as peer support and group facilitator. Donna Zephyrin is going to be there from episode number 10.
Love Donna.
Multiple chaplains are going to be there.
Awesome.
We're going to healing community. And then we have one in June. I'll also be at that one, and November. So please contact us at bridgingthegapvetspodcast@gmail.com. Give us a call, email us, and we will get you connected to this retreat. That is all of kind of the connections, the crisis, how to get connected to resources. Now we want to introduce you to what this episode is about. V, this is episode number 14.
It's number 14.
14. What should we do today?
I think we need to reel it in.
Okay.
And kind of get the perspective from our mastermind. So you all know him, mastermind. You know him as the owner, director of Streamography Studios, the founder of Bridging the Gap Vet Podcast.
He is.
Andrew Nicastro.
Hi, Andrew.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Andrew.
We get to
Come in with my
interview
bubbly
him.
answer. Hey, everybody.
How do you feel?
I'm nervous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is weird.
It is.
I'm usually
Testimony
either
day.
behind the camera or in that seat asking the questions and
Directing.
Yeah.
Now we get to direct and ask the questions to you.
I don't tell my story very often.
Well, now you will.
Interesting. Where do I begin? 1988.
We begin in the earlier years,
Yeah.
and you have photos. I think we should start off with photos.
I do.
You get
Okay.
to see the baby of the family with his 5 boys in the Nicastro family.
Yeah.
And there's 4 of them.
And look at my smile. So for everyone that's tuning in, that's me in the red jumper there. Smiling, always have a smile on.
You
That's how
always
people know
bubbly.
me. That's just my
yeah.
nature.
He was.
I just can't even help it.
You always were. You always had the personality. I don't like shirts, like, ever, and you guys make me wear one even today. Yeah. So as you can see in that
Sorry.
photo.
I'm proud of you for wearing sleeves,
keep
though.
it clean.
Yeah, you wore sleeves for my podcast. I appreciate
Yes, I
you.
always wear sleeves. Because there was a time I wasn't wearing sleeves
Still,
here.
he is still wearing plaid today, though.
Yeah,
plaid.
big plaid guy.
Yeah.
So, Andrew, when you look at this, younger years,
Yeah.
this is us before anything even occurred.
Yeah. And as you can see, like I was just saying, I'm the bubbly one, but so I'm the smallest of the litter, right? As everyone always made sure to remind me.
He's very small.
Yeah, I was always a
Big,
small one.
big heart, though.
And so that's Brother Matt on the far side, right behind me. Dave back there, like we said, never likes wearing shirts.
Shirtless.
And Mark, nice and cozy there in the corner. The 2 veterans of the bunch.
Yes.
And those will be the 2 that we'll talk about as far as I got older and as I connected with you both. what did it mean to me having the veterans from a brother's perspective? And there's Brother Dave with me with my
Once
onesie.
again, no shirt.
Yeah, no shirt.
Loving on my brother, though.
But we were always super close.
Yeah,
all of us and the brothers.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, of course we picked on each other. And with me being literally 10 years younger than Mark and Dave,
Yeah.
the picking on was much different, right? I was little. They didn't really
We didn't really pick
They
on
didn't really pick
You know,
on
I
me.
feel like you don't really get a grasp on the age difference right now just looking at the
Right.
two of you, but
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
looking at these photos and I'm like, wow, you're like a grown man and you're a kid.
Right. Right. And yeah, again, just to speak to your point.
V, this was the summer I'm leaving. I'm 17.
Oh, wow.
And I'm getting ready to leave. I remember this is my going away party for the family because I remember the clothes and everything. I am saying goodbye to my family, the whole family, the big family. And I'm 17 getting ready to go in the Marines, a month away.
And we're going to touch on this a lot, but you know, I knew you were going away, but it's not like anyone ever sat down and talked to me about it. Like,
Explain what going away actually meant.
yeah,
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, so
You
I
were
know
little.
the thing, and exactly.
He's 7. He's
Yeah,
7
exactly.
years old. I'm
Yeah.
17, you're 7. Yeah.
Yeah. And then same thing with Mark.
Right.
So I was what, 8?
Yeah.
Literally 1 year later.
Yeah. That's right.
And quick side note, I wore that shirt for like every picture day. I don't know why.
It was your best shirt.
I really love
Because
that shirt.
you needed to go get a nice shirt. Mom would always say, go get a nice shirt. It's pictures. And you get the same shirt.
Yeah.
When you dress yourself, you just dress yourself with the same stuff.
I mean,
yeah,
kudos to Mom for picking our battles.
Oh, yeah.
I would have
yeah,
said, no,
yeah.
you wore that one last year.
Good thing we're not doing her picture days
Yeah.
because there's makeup involved, and we won't go there. Though.
Staff Sergeant Washington, my recruiter. You know what I love about this guy? Well, I hope recruiters do this, but he came to my cross-country meets. He came to my sporting events. He did a really cool job of connecting with his guys. When you were in and he knew he had one, he wanted to make sure you were training. And he had this older brother / fatherly figure to come to events. He came to every cross-country meet I had when he was able. And I just remember how I look back at it now and go, wow, he went above and beyond, and I respected that about him. And he was like a physical beast too.
Yeah.
No,
He
not
could
all,
run.
not all recruiters do that. So you
That's right.
genuinely had a good one.
Good recruiter. He checked in on me. And look at me, I'm a pimpled-faced young kid, and this is a Marine. He's already a staff sergeant in the Marine Corps. So he's helping young Marines get in. And look at the next picture.
Helping multiple young Marines.
Is now Mark with staff sergeant.
Wow.
Beautiful uniform, the dress blues. Mom, I don't think liked him very much. I think by
she
this
picked
point she
two
might have been
boys.
triggered because he put me in, and now it's Mark going away.
Yeah.
Do you remember him, Andrew?
No, I do remember him, and I always remember there was like a sense of like awe. That's what I got a lot, like being the young brother
Yeah.
with two brothers going into the Marines. There was always a sense, this like, how do I explain it? It's like I was in awe of what you guys were doing, but also terrified of what you guys were doing. And it was almost like this thing that we didn't talk about.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you know what the military was like to be terrified at such a young age of it? Did you comprehend what he was doing?
Not fully, but it's like I thought of the worst case scenario. You know what I mean?
What's
if
the
that
worst
makes
case
sense.
scenario?
That you could go to war and die.
Yeah.
You know what I
Just
mean?
saying it out loud.
Yeah.
And most moms, dads, siblings, I love this person. I don't want them to go over there and die
Right.
because that would hurt.
Well, that's typically the association with anyone who enters the military is basically a death sentence. You're signing in
yes.
to die. That's just what everybody just assumes the military is about. You and I both know that that's not always
Right.
true, but it's understandable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember from an early age thinking that that was an option. And again, it was just something that at the time felt like we couldn't talk about it. You know,
Yeah.
it was it was this presence that was there. It was all around.
Yep.
But we just couldn't talk about it. So like one of my notes was how it felt like we were walking on eggshells whenever it came to military. You know, we were so proud of you guys for choosing to do this. We knew the honor to it. Like I said, there was a sense of awe to the fact that you guys made this decision, but also there was a fear that was walking on eggshells because we didn't talk about that.
And I went in 1996. There's no war happening in 1990. It was peacetime.
That's why I was
Right.
That's why I had asked. Why did you? Why did you have a
grasp
fear
of that?
Right. How did you have a grasp of
There's no
what
war.
was?
From 1996 to 1998, I had been training. I was in an infantry unit, and then I was taken to an anti-terrorism unit. So did you have a knowledge of me, and that was my job?
The connection that I had, I would say, was probably more with my Uncle Bruce and how he went to Vietnam.
Okay.
And so because I heard the stories of, what would be considered the worst case scenarios,
Right.
and he ended up dying as a result of Agent Orange, which came from the war, I had more of a connection to that
Yeah.
than I did much of anything else.
Did you have cousins that were around your age?
Oh, yeah,
Would
quite a few.
Would you talk in secrecy?
No, not to the cousins either.
Okay, because I know, when I was younger, I'd talk to my cousins about different things that were taboo to speak openly with the family. So I wondered if you did that with your cousins, outside of.
More so with school-age friends.
Okay.
When I was in school, and, one of the pictures we'll see, because I dressed in a costume, a group of us dressed as military men, as soldiers, but more so with school-age friends. Yeah. They would always ask questions about, what are your brothers doing over there? Are they shooting people? That question would come up all the time. And once the Kenyan bombing happened, I knew that was a legitimate option.
Yeah, so 1998, David goes into Africa for the embassy bombing that happened in Nairobi, Kenya, and you knew about that. How did you find out?
So I found out about that because it was all over the news, and at some point it was communicated that's where you were. It was all over the place as far as the Kenyan bombing. So I just knew that's where you were, but that was kind of the extent of it.
Right.
I didn't know anything else other than that.
Nothing from mom that something was going on?
Well, outside of the fact that he was in Kenya.
Never discussed him ever being in danger or anything like that?
Never really talked about it, More of just like, he's in Kenya, but it's all okay.
Okay.
But that, I know my mom was just trying, like we just saw, she was trying to hold down the house for me and Matt and the rest of the household.
It just goes to show how much she was shielding and protecting you.
Right.
That you had no idea outside of the household. You had no idea what was happening other than what you saw on the news and the TV or word of mouth through friends. That mom really kept it together for you guys.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, if I'm trying to imagine me, I was a sensitive young guy. I remember there was one time where a couple of the brothers were just wrestling, and I was the one that started crying.
Watching.
Yeah. I was like, Mom, our house is falling apart. She's like, Andrew, what are you talking about? They do this every day.
They're boys. Boys are just being boys.
Yeah. And I was the one crying.
So good. After 1998, we were peacetime. First Gulf War is over, but after, Al Qaeda and Bin Laden hit us, it changed after that. 1998 with the embassy bombing, and then we saw the next year was the USS Cole, and then soon after that was 9/11. And so I from 1998 was traveling quite a bit and being deployed because I was anti-terrorism. And then when the wars kicked off, 2001, it became very real because you had two brothers that were Marines, and they got deployed at the same time to Iraq.
And at this point, again, just to put in perspective, so 98, what was I, 16? 17? Is that right? How old were you?
No, you were 9.
Oh, okay.
I was 19. You would be 9.
When you went to Iraq, you were 9?
Oh, no, I thought you said Africa. Yeah,
No.
When I went to Iraq in 2004, me and Mark.
Right.
2004. So I think you would have been right, 16 or 17.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Yeah. So when you guys went to Iraq and Afghanistan, I was obviously well aware of the dangers and the situation. And me and Mom couldn't find any of the letters, but I did write some letters to you guys. Mostly from what I can recall, because again, this was so long ago, mostly was just like trying to stay connected with you. At that point, that was my only goal. From 9 years old to 16 years old, just like be connected with my brothers.
How about that, V? How many
You know?
9 to 16-year-olds have that wherewithal to say, I want to be connected to my
Well,
brothers?
you know,
So
it's so interesting to hear the perspective from another military brother, because I have a brother, and when I was deployed, or when I joined the service, I think he really struggled with that. I just didn't know how he struggled with it, and I don't think it was like you. I feel
Sure,
like
sure, it's
you
different.
wanted to feel connected,
Yeah.
whereas. I don't know. I don't want to say he blamed me for a lot of things, but more so that I feel as if I'm to blame for some of his actions because I wasn't there.
Right.
Where you're the polar opposite. You just wanted to be there with him, no matter
Yeah.
how far away he was. You wanted to feel connected with him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Good man, you are.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, I think maybe a piece of this was my brother Matt. He took on a role almost as like that male role in the household. You know, he would be a great one to, maybe not do a full podcast, but just to talk to him about
He's
it, because
5 years older than you.
he's 5 years older than me. He took on a male leadership role in the
He
house
took that father figure
at
role.
13, 14, 15 years old.
Right.
And Matt really did. He was the one that, he didn't like pick on me very much, even though he definitely could have. He was the one closer to me in age, but he was more protective. And he still is to this day.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. I love hearing that because I'm gone. I don't know what was happening in the house from the times I was
Right,
gone.
and that's how I feel. Like, I have no idea what was happening.
Right.
I was completely gone, and I only hear the back end of
Yeah.
these stories. Like, oh, your brother did this, or your brother's into this, and I need help with this, and it's like, how is this happening?
I
Like,
feel-
Right.
how did you hold down the house this whole time, my 17, 18 years of life, and then I leave, and what is
it's-
happening?
You and I, it's like we flipped the switch and went on mission.
Mm-hmm.
And I would have loved to say, I wanted to be more, I can say it now, I wish I had been more connected to home, but I wasn't.
I agree.
We went just all in and just flipped the switch.
I agree. Well, our missions were different, right? We didn't have purpose before. Military became our purpose. It
That's right.
became our mission. So we didn't know that we had a purpose to uphold on the home front, because we were kids when we signed up.
Yeah.
17, 18,
Right.
we're kids.
Yeah, we're kids.
And we have that new purpose and we just go. So this is such a good perspective. So Andrew, when, you want to get some more photos and we'll
Sure.
talk about those?
Sure. So, obviously, they're not in like any particular order, but so this is when Dave
Yeah,
just
I
got
came
back
home
from boot camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. So again, look how little I am. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And Andrew's the one with glasses. That's the other one's my cousin Rich.
Yeah.
Andrew with
And then
glasses.
here's brother Mark.
At boot camp. So they're at Paris Island. And my brother Matt, who
So
you
that's
just heard Andrew
Matt.
talk
Yes.
about.
Okay.
Yep. Exactly.
And then Mom. Yep. On the parade deck of Paris Island, that is Mark with Mom, and then Andrew, and
Yeah.
is that John? Is that John?
No, that's Matt.
Oh wow, he is. It kind of looks like a little man.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, see
'Cause
what
I
I'm
wasn't
saying? He took on
there.
a male
I wasn't
role,
there. I
or not a male role, a leadership role in the house.
I didn't even
look at
notice.
this. Look at the stance. Like he
Right.
has a strong stance.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had to take that on early. Well, whereas look at me, I'm the polar opposite. I'm like,
Right.
Nah, I'm
Mom,
just happy to
support
be
me.
here.
Yeah, right.
Leaning on
Mom, it's hot.
Wow, I love seeing these old photos. It's been so long.
Oops, went too far.
Yep, and you're down there in Paris Island,
Yeah,
just walking you
so-
around. That's the challenge course. You climb
Yeah.
the ropes and you go down with the water there, and you can
Yeah.
fall into the water, which most of us do because the drill instructors want you wet.
So again, when I was like at the boot camp, the only one that really like, I don't want to say it freaked me out, but I understood like was the gas chamber. Like, know how you guys do the gas chamber thing? There was almost this vibe of like, this place is weird. That was the vibe I got as like
We
a
thought
little
so
kid.
Like a
too.
cult.
We thought so too. As you're getting up to it and going, "Oh, we know what happens in there." Yeah.
It wasn't fun.
Everywhere else was like super cool for us,
Yeah.
or at least for me. Like I was like, oh, can I climb these things? And I
Right.
think the tank is here. Loved the
Yeah, I
tank.
remember that. My goodness, this just brings back Paris Island memories. I'm not triggered. I'm just like, all right, let's keep going.
I'm not triggered, but it is bringing back some good memories.
Yeah, and we know that's the statue of Iwo Jima, you know, that they raised in just amazing
I
statue.
think there's
to
another
see.
one of
It's
those. Yeah,
Such
yeah,
a
me and
famous
Mark.
statue.
And then,
Ah.
so this gets back to So yeah, I think
So
this is in
cute.
here. It might be out of order a little bit, but yeah. So, even in school, a group of friends and I talked about like, all right, let's dress as soldiers, and for us, dressing as soldiers meant covering ourselves in scars and blood.
Wow, right. Because that's what you thought.
That's what we
Associated. Yeah,
perceived.
you
This is what we
associated
perceived.
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I think I'm holding a machete actually.
And
Is that a machete?
whose uniform are you wearing?
I actually don't know. I'll look at the
What does it
actual.
say
I
on
can
the
Because that
pull it
looks
up.
like a real uniform. That's
could
not a
probably-
costume.
I could probably pull it up and zoom in on the name if I.
Because there's something on
It's
the
hard
pocket.
to see it.
Yeah.
Well,
Definitely have
this is
something.
this is the U.S. Army side.
Yeah, that
This
could.
is
Is
the
that what
US
it says?
Army.
Yep.
The name tag would be on the other side.
Correct. So you have someone's
So
actual
someone's
uniform.
yeah.
Yeah.
Really
I
cool.
actually am not sure.
Yep.
So.
Okay.
So yeah, that's U.S. Army right there.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure whose it was. I'll ask my mom.
Yeah, good. And that's not a machete. You're holding.
Yeah, I'm going back to
a
the
butt-
picture-in-picture.
That's a butt stock. It's definitely some sort of weapon, right? Like a rifle. I don't know.
Yeah. I'm not even
All
sure,
right,
honestly.
so moving on.
Yeah.
On
And
that
then
tank.
on the tank. Yeah, I knew they were out of order, but yeah.
It's cute, right, V?
It is so cute.
So there was definitely a sense of pride.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You
definitely
could
have
tell by
that.
my stance. Like there's a sense of pride in my brothers and my family,
Oh,
my family
absolutely.
military heritage, and that comes with veterans. We always had that for sure.
Wow.
And then here was the group of us. Yeah, yeah,
Everyone's in camo. Just
yeah.
doing what boys do.
And these are some
Mark
awkward
and
years.
Andrew,
Yeah.
Mark and Andrew. Because you're getting into your teenage years.
This is
now.
getting into when you guys were going overseas
And so
into
me and
Iraq
Mark
and
are,
Afghanistan.
Iraq, and you can even see in Mark's face, like
He changed a little bit.
we have, how we got to put on a toughness, and we come home with a toughness, and it changes you. Everything changes you. You're never going to be the same again. And yeah, you can even see it. He's in shape, and oh wow, you put that one in there.
Yeah,
So
This
I'm-
is a
Now,
little-
what is
I'm,
that?
I'm beardless.
yeah.
Why did you put that
Well,
one
in
there?
case you
I'm
didn't
kinda
notice, you were
curious.
beardless in all of the
I know,
pictures.
'cause I
Okay,
was a
just in
Marine.
case you didn't notice
Yeah.
that part.
I'm just letting everyone know that. Why'd you put that one in there? I'm kind of curious.
So I mean, it's obviously not in the right order, but it's supposed to be more of a progression.
Yeah.
A progression of time, right? And how we are here to support our veterans and our family members. And this came at a time where you were finally opening up.
Right. This was the beginning of this is the start of my healing journey. I
Right.
knew I had to be different. I didn't know how to do it yet. And I was hurting
You were done at that point.
with everything.
Everything. Yeah.
Everything. I even left the state police at this point.
Right.
And I'm putting on a smile, but I don't know what to do with myself, but I know I need to heal. And this was a picture that we took on Good Harbor Beach with the water behind us. I said, brother, he was hurting too.
Yep.
I go, let's take this picture because after this, we're going to move uphill and journey this together.
This was supposed to be later in the pictures, but the whole talking about walking on eggshells, this was where it felt like we took a step off the eggshells for the first time.
Right.
And that healing journey finally started for both of us, actually.
Right. I was at home base in Boston, which is great for mental health and trauma therapy. And I started there. And I think the therapist there provided me a space to talk about memories, about some of the stuff overseas. And I'd never done that before. I didn't think I needed to, but I needed to. And then from there, I came home and I go, bro, I think you should do this too. I started telling people they should do this. It's cool to expose and confess and get this out, the storm inside.
Yeah.
And this is that picture of kind of that beginning journey of all that.
Yep. This is where we took a step off the eggshells.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yep.
Oh.
And then me and Mark later in years. Yeah. Mark is that one that he is just reliable. If there's a word I can give for Mark,
Consistent and reliable.
consistent and reliable.
That's right.
He is just always there. He would give the shirt off his back, which I'm sure he literally has for probably all of us at
That's
this
right.
point.
He's not on that same roller coaster ride of emotions like we are, like I am. I'm the brother that's just up and down on a roller coaster ride of emotions. In that healing journey, open myself up, but it allows you to feel everything, feel deeply about everything. And Mark is just kind of this guy, just goes straight ahead, not really on the ride like I can be.
Yeah.
I feel great today. I feel horrible today. I feel great today.
It speaks to how unique each individual is, and how each individual needs to cope with things, and the different types of coping mechanisms, and how they work for some and not for others, because we are each individuals.
Right. Like, I love the retreat setting. I love group therapy. I love being in the presence of peer support. And I've invited Mark to the retreat, but he's not in. That's not his thing.
It's not his thing.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is his thing? Pickleball. He loves pickleball.
He loves pickleball.
He's active.
But he does love volunteering, right?
Yeah,
like
he
service.
volunteers at the
He's a
open door.
service-oriented
That's right.
individual.
He serves.
Yeah.
He likes to serve quietly, and that's what fills him up. That's
That's good.
absolutely right, actually.
Yeah, he was volunteer of the year for the open door last year. Was
Yeah,
that last year
yeah,
or the
yeah,
year before?
he was.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, right next door to you. All right, let's see. Then there's me and Matt, like, I don't know, during the pandemic, obviously, but
That was Mother's Day, and we brought her
Yeah.
to the
paint night.
paint night up at next to King's Bowling. What's that place?
Linfield
fun.
Marketplace.
Linfield Marketplace. Muse Paint Bar. That's what it was.
Yeah,
So cool.
yeah. There's our entire family.
And you were asking about cousins.
Yeah.
We are close to our cousins as well.
Yeah.
My cousin Rich is in the middle with the hat. His dad was Uncle Bruce, who was a Marine in Vietnam, died of Agent Orange. And we believe our Uncle Bruce, who died of cancer from it, passed it down to Rich, and Rich died of similar cancer at the age of 50.
Oh, wow.
So I think vets of the Vietnam War know sometimes they can pass down some of those ailments and stuff to their children, and this was really sad to lose Rich last year, actually. So we're just very close as brothers and cousins. Yeah, very close.
Yeah, I will make a quick side note. No one else got the memo for the costumes in that picture. Like, why am I the only one in a costume?
Why are you the only one in a costume?
I was having fun.
Was this around Halloween time?
It was around Halloween.
It was a
time,
kid's Halloween
No,
party.
actually, it was just a random day. That's just my.
It was a
Listen.
kid's
That's my
Halloween
Wednesday
party.
Everybody else is dressed in regular clothing, so.
Andrew showed up with a thing costume. That's so good.
And there's a Muse paint bar. So
Mom with the
the five
men,
boys.
She'll,
Yeah.
she'll call them.
yeah.
Cool. Wow.
Again, there's the rest of us. But yeah, we are super close.
Yeah.
And we were always close. And so I feel like, especially being the youngest of the bunch, there's always been this vibe of we have to protect Andrew. And I get that. I totally get that. Now with my children, obviously, I would do anything in the world to protect them. But it was almost like we felt by protecting that meant sometimes avoiding hard conversation or just straight up keeping them in the dark about things.
Right.
And to your point from earlier, V, it's not really in the dark because whether I'm in school or whether it's on the news, I'm hearing of these things from some source. So that was like when we were talking about like our notes. Even though you think you're protecting them, you're really not. You're keeping them in the dark.
You are.
That's really what's happening.
If somebody's holding it in, you're still affected.
Yeah.
Right. There comes a point where you have to have those hard conversations with your children and expose them to the real world and the truth, your real truth, early enough where they can understand and comprehend it, not when it's too late and you're,
What if it's
you're
hard
eating all of these.
for the parent? Because it sounds like it could be really difficult for someone who's trying to keep it all together to raise young children. How if she opens that box, she might fall apart herself.
And she might, and then it opens up the aspect that she could benefit from connecting with someone that can help.
Right.
I mean, we heard Mom's testimony and how it was really other people around her that started noticing, like we need to do something. She's holding it in, she's holding it in, and she's doing her best. And it's the outside world that's looking at her saying, you need to connect with somebody. You need to talk to someone. You need to put this out in the open because it's not going to do you personally any good.
And she came from that generation, that World War II parent in there. And she comes from the Vietnam generation of we just hold it all in. And we how would Adam say it? Pick up by the bootstraps and just keep going and just put her head down and go.
Yeah.
And she is that woman. But now she's, even later in her life, she is sharing and processing and communicating. And younger
There's
parents
nothing
should be
wrong
doing
with
the
that.
same.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with sharing your stories, putting it out there, sharing with the world what the real world is actually like.
Yeah,
It is not
tough.
this fake facade on Facebook, and it's not always us smiling and being on vacation and partying and all this craziness.
right.
There is a real
tough
world,
world.
and how do we navigate that real world?
Mm-hmm.
And we only learn how to navigate it by putting it out there.
That's right. And it's a tough world right now in this place. Right now,
It
as
is.
we're talking, it's very
It
difficult.
is. And they are conversations that are very hard to have, but they are conversations that need to be had.
Yeah. And to your point, as far as needing to have, like, so Mom, she was learning on the fly how to be a parent while doing all of this.
Right.
And that support around her really was helping to push her forward. But, now as a parent, I'm learning as I go here as well. We're all learning as we go. But opening up to, I kind of got to take my own advice, right? Opening up to my children about what I'm dealing with. Again, not to go sway from the veteran stuff. But, opening up to my children about what I'm dealing with and about what we're dealing with here in the real world will teach them how to teach their kids
Absolutely.
what they're dealing with in the
You know
real
what?
world.
And I'll bring it back to Mom's perspective. As a mother of two boys myself, I treat each one differently as well. There's one that I want to protect, so I limit how I have conversations with him. And then the other one, I really want to expose him to what is out there. And not necessarily because I think one can handle it and one can't. I actually think the one that I tell more to is the one that I worry more for, because he thinks the world is so...
And you know who he is.
Yeah, right. I know who he is, and he is a gentle giant, and it's almost like he sees the world in a very positive light, and I want him to know that yes, the world is great, but this is how you protect yourself. Whereas the other one that I don't have these conversations with, I feel like
He's got that grasp.
he's got it. Yeah, he's got that street cred, even though he's never been in the streets.
So language is so important, Andrew. And this is what I learned at the Welcome Home Initiative and the Trauma Healing Institute. We sometimes use generalities. So can you explain to the audience what it feels like or what it looks like to be walking on eggshells? What does that mean? What does it mean for you
to be walking?
What did it mean for you to walk on eggshells?
Very tight. It felt like I couldn't release what was actually on my heart.
Yeah.
It felt very confining.
Because if you did, what would happen?
Just going to ask
I
that.
know.
What did you feel if
Right.
you did?
It's important.
What did you think would happen if you did?
If I were to bring it up,
Did you think you were going to get reprimanded or
And there's a lot of
looked
people out
down
there
on?
feel
or
this way.
hurt,
That's why we
or
want to
hurt,
say it.
or hurt someone by bringing it up, I feel like I would be hurting them by bringing it up.
hurting Mom, hurting
Yeah,
Dave.
bringing up a dark place that maybe there's a reason we're avoiding it.
So in a way, it was you were picking up on the holding it in to protect
to
someone.
protect,
Right.
It was something you learned in the home, and you were doing the same thing. And I know.
Right.
I know.
So
that
they
too.
were purposely not telling you stuff to protect you, and you
Yes.
were purposely not bringing up stuff to protect them.
Right.
Because
Right.
I spent my first year in Iraq was how long? 388 straight days within the borders. So in Iraq, so you did every day alongside me because you're thinking every day you wake up, I have a brother in Iraq. She has a son in Iraq, and another one. So two of them. So you would just go along with the day, knowing they're both in Iraq, but walking on eggshells, not telling because it would hurt each other or bring it up.
Yeah. That was the general vibe. Is we were trying to protect each other from the hurt
Yeah.
versus just bring up the hurt, and there's healing that happens through that process.
Right. Wow. There's a lot of families possibly doing this right now. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of families going through this right now.
Right.
We've brought this up before, and this is why I think this podcast is so unique, is that we are bringing up so many different perspectives.
Right.
If there are any family that are going through this, please email us because we would love to hear your stories. This is a veterans podcast. It's for the veterans, but it's also for the community.
Right.
It's also for the family.
Right.
And for us to bring this stuff up now, we're taking that step off of the eggshells.
Right.
Finally.
Yep.
You know, I mean, have we ever talked about this stuff before?
No, well, me and you, over the pictures you saw, we have opened it up and talked. But what, eggshells?
Or about like me as a little one, go with you overseas? Not really,
No,
right? This is
no.
our first time really talking
I'll
about
be honest,
this.
some of those pictures I've never seen.
Right, right.
I haven't because I wasn't here for Mark's graduation. I was gone.
Yeah.
So to see, I was shocked. It was Matt. That's my brother. He
Yeah,
looked like
yeah.
a
You didn't
grown
recognize
man.
him.
I didn't recognize him.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't there during that time. It's so interesting to see it up there and go, who's that? Is that John, my oldest brother? No, that's Matt. He was a little man.
I know this is your testimony. I
Yeah.
know it is.
Yeah, yeah.
But how did you feel? Did you feel like you were a part of the family when you're in Iraq and life is still
No.
going on? Did you share your experiences with them? No, right? You kind of just kept it to yourself.
It was a
which-
disconnect.
Right, which adds on to what we have going on in our heads is we have our own mission going on.
I have my
and
own family over, if you will. It's a new family.
It is a new family, and you kind of forget what's happening
Yeah.
in the household.
Right.
And by you sharing your story, and by any listeners that we have that are not the veteran, by you sharing your story, kind of opens up the platform for the veteran to be more open to sharing theirs and
Yes.
having open conversations with one another on these experiences.
And even me hearing you say Matt took on like the male leadership role.
Yeah.
He's not my baby brother, but he's my young brother, and I feel protective of him. So to hear he did that, that's amazing to me.
We had to.
Yeah, he was the
Yeah.
only one.
Yeah.
Because
He was the
John's
one in
out of
the
the
house.
house,
Yeah.
Mark's gone, I'm gone. It's just shocking to think that a 15, 16-year-old can do that, but it's a thing.
Which makes
Yeah.
more sense why they would want to protect you as well. You know, the two older brothers are gone. You have Matt, who's kind of just stepped up to that role, who's left to take care of Andrew.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool. I have a question for you,
Yeah.
because you do this to us, and so I'm going to do it to you. Andrew, Cove comes to you, and this is his younger son.
Yeah.
Someday, and he says, "Hey, Dad, I want to go in the United States military like my uncles." What do you say to Cove? He's how old is Cove right now? He's not
He's,
even 2 yet,
20
is he?
months.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's not even 2.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just like this one.
The first question I would ask is why? That's the first question I'd ask. What is the draw? What is it for you? I want to hear that there's actual purpose.
Well, Dad, I look up to Uncle Mark and Uncle David so much, and I think I just don't want to do school right now. I kind of want to try this out, this military thing.
I would ask Cove to talk to Uncle Mark and talk to Uncle Dave.
That's
Yeah.
good advice.
That's
Yeah.
great advice.
I do too. I think,
He's going to get the realest answer from
Yeah.
you.
and we're very real
you
right now.
both.
Me and
And when you talk to Uncle Dave and Uncle Mark, bring whatever vision you think the military is. Write that down on paper, and let Mark be willing to share that with Uncle Mark and Uncle Dave, and then be open to the reality of what the vision is.
Yeah. Yeah. The military is not bad. It is
Sure.
not it is not a bad
But it's real.
path, but it is a real path, and it does change your outlook forever.
Right.
Forever. It
right.
really changes everything.
And what you just said about how you mother your 2 boys differently, when boys or girls come to us and say, we're going to join the military, we're looking at them wanting to know why. And then we want to tell them it's not a bad thing, but let's tell you how it really is
Right.
out there, what you can be exposed to.
Right.
That's such an important thing for them to hear and lesson is, guess what? You can get your college. I know what the recruit is telling you. You're going to get your college paid
Oh,
for. You can
yeah.
get a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Yeah.
telling all the world. But we're going to say, and these places in the world you can go. And when you go over there and you see this and you're exposed to this, you're going to be different and you're going to be changed forever.
Forever.
And there are things that are not going to be positive. No amount of training and conversation we can have can get you ready for what war exposes you and does to you. And we want to share that with people, make sure they have all of the information before they make that decision. All of it.
Now, the question I thought you were going to ask, right? This is what I thought you were
You're
going to
gonna ask your own question now?
Yeah, I'm going to ask my own
Let's hear
question.
it. Let's hear it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if Andrew now at 35 years old was to talk to 8-year-old Andrew, because that's one of my questions.
You
I
do
love
ask that a lot.
question.
What would the question be?
So
That is.
that is the question. Andrew, at 35 years old, what would you say to 8-year-old Andrew?
Oh.
Who's going through all of this?
He does ask
such
that.
an Andrew question.
He
Yeah.
does ask that.
I totally messed
He
up.
has
I'm
asked
sitting
that
in
one.
his seat, but I can't be him.
But that was still a good question.
That was a great question because Little Cove, that's a whole different dynamic.
So what
right?
would you tell 8-year-old Andrew?
And I was, as you were asking the question, I was already trying to come up with an answer, even though it was
And
a totally
then
different
you
question.
and then you flip the script on him.
I was like,
He's like,
Cove.
I know exactly what he's going to ask, and I just don't.
I got this.
I don't even know what I'm going to ask most times.
What goes on in that brain? I think we're all
Don't
still
come
trying
for
to
a
figure
ride
it
on
out.
this roller coaster.
No.
Yeah.
No.
My goodness, 8-year-old Andrew is, wow. You know, I should have asked myself this question because I knew my podcast was
You know,
coming
you
up.
did just
No.
ask yourself. You should have had an answer ready.
Yeah. So this is a real
don't want
answer, everybody.
This is
off the
raw.
cuff.
There was no script for this one.
No, we had no meeting for this one.
I have a vision of when I was leaving Andrew, everybody was crying. Everybody knew I was going. And Andrew was having fun and he was playing. I remember I have this vision of you looking, not understanding at 7 why everyone, like, okay, I think he's going, but why is everyone crying? Like, everyone.
Yeah.
And I was. And you just didn't have a grasp yet of what exactly was, that's 7. So this is kind of going back to the guy, you were literally, you didn't have a grasp of anything yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. It is true that 7, 8 is a interesting age in that
You know enough of the world, but not.
To grasp.
it's more like you almost know video game style stuff.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's
Yeah.
that's like more of like what you that's why like we're cutting ourselves or we're pretending to have scars, right? When we're dressing
Yeah.
up in the military because it's almost video game like. But I guess what I would tell little Andrew is to ask mom or ask your brothers, what do they want you to feel? What do they want you to feel and know about the situation? Because it is hard at that age to have such a deep, like, you know, Andrew, you are okay, you are worthy, which are we could all do a whole different other podcast about stuff like that. But it's less about that. I want you to ask questions.
Oh, I like that. I want you to
It's
ask
like-
questions.
Yeah,
I want
I
you
like
to
that
ask
too.
questions.
I want you
It's
to ask
okay to
questions.
ask questions. And I guess that's where I would leave it.
You don't
Okay.
need to be so tight. You don't need to walk on eggshells.
Right.
You're safe
But again,
here.
remember,
We
little
can
Andrew
have
wouldn't
these
know.
Conversations.
That's right.
Yeah.
He wouldn't really know this stuff.
Right.
So ask mom questions. Ask brother Dave and brother Mark questions. Ask Matt
Make
questions.
light of the situation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Ask Matt what he's, what does he think the brothers are going through? What does he think is going on over there? You
Wow.
know?
That's good.
That's what I would say to little Andrew. Now, as he got a little older, we would go a little deeper,
Right.
Oh, absolutely.
you know? But
Right.
little Andrew, ask questions. It's okay.
That's really cool.
You can.
That's
Yeah.
good to
There's
see.
nothing wrong with asking questions.
Yeah.
So cool. The different dynamic. Just the five brothers. If I had an older brother in here, John, he would have a completely different story. He wasn't in the home. He was out of the home.
Yeah.
But he still had his own story, and so does Matt.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Like every family.
JJ was, 1 or 2 by that point? When I was 7, 8,
Yeah.
give or take?
Yeah. And this is my oldest brother, John's son.
Yeah.
In every family that has a veteran, each of them are different and has their own take on that veteran and how they handled it or didn't handle it, or that feeling of walking on eggshells and what it even means to pull it apart.
And I guess I'll go back to why ask questions, because we keep going back to the best, or one of the best ways to heal is by surrounding yourself in a community.
Yeah.
Right? We talk about your coffee socials and how important that is for veterans to surround yourself with other veterans.
That's right.
Especially ones that are on that healing journey.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So for the young ones, please have them ask questions, because now you're surrounding them with you versus other sources of information where who knows what they're getting
Yeah.
for other pieces of information, and who knows what's going on in them. But at least if they're asking you questions, you're getting a sense of what's going on.
Yeah. And going back to the coffee social, even that veteran who's not ready to say anything.
Oh, yeah.
He's in the presence of community, hearing and listening language. He's saying, wow, this Vietnam veteran is sharing his story. Maybe I can do that too. Not right now, it hurts, but he's learning language, how to share and confess and get it out.
Well, what I've learned just listening and sitting in through the coffees is that military isn't all bad. You know, we were in awful situations, but I mean, these guys make Fridays their show and tell. They bring in their binders and photos when they were stationed in Vietnam and Thailand and all these places. And to me, it's so cool because they're bringing in all this memorabilia. They're bringing in all this cool stuff.
Pride,
And there's, right. So you always hear Vietnam did this to me. Thailand did this to me. The service did this to me. But here I am looking at pictures of these guys being normal teenagers.
That's right.
Embracing the situation that they were put in and making light of it and making it or turning it into a positive experience, sharing their positive memories with us. So if there's one veteran sitting in that room that is struggling mentally, they're struggling with themselves and all of the negativity that they've experienced, here's some 70-something, 80-year-old guy picking out only the positives out of his negative experience and kind of changing the mind, the map that's going on in their mind.
That is a great point. Yeah. Again, talking about how I thought of it, you know, I associated what was going on with A, you know, my Uncle Bruce's situation.
Right.
But then B, again, you know, video games. You know, I was a video gamer. And then kind of if I did ask the questions and if I, you know, or if I was talked to about it, it can be like, hey, Andrew, yeah, there's some tough stuff that goes on over there, but your brothers are forming brotherships.
These are real relationships. And that's most of the pictures that they're sharing is photos of their families, their new cohorts, their new families, their new brothers and sisters, and these new experiences that they've shared together.
Right, because when veterans isolate and they get stuck in a trauma, when you're stuck and isolated and not exposing it, that's when all the bad stuff
You only
happen.
dwell on the negative aspects of that trauma. You don't, and it's almost like you begin to recreate your own story of that trauma, how you remember it. And every time you remember it, you kind of add on to that memory that may have not happened. There are certain parts of that memory that you remember that might not have happened, but you continue to relive it. And every single time you add on a new memory, a new memory, and a new memory.
You're swimming in it, and that's when all the bad things are occurring in our body and in our mind. And something that V said is just having those other veterans sharing positive was doing something, remapping and shifting, so given permission. It's okay.
Yeah.
It all hurts.
Well, it's almost like, oh, I remember hanging out with this friend, or I remember sharing similar experiences just like you did with such and such and such and such. And it's almost like you start to, again, rechange your memories into more positive outlook.
That's right. It's like it's changing the neural pathway and the thinking. Because some of us have burnt out circuit boards from what we were exposed to. Some have traumatic brain injury. Some of them literally had their brain bounce off their skull and they're struggling mentally. By being in the presence of people, it's helping in a way shift it, reconnect, given permission to smile, permission to tell a story, permission to be in the presence of men and just listen for a time and share if you want. It's like, I can have permission. Some of us think, and when we're in the darkest of it, we're stuck in a trauma and we've lost people. And because we've lost them, we're grieving them. We feel we don't have permission to enjoy life. You actually have permission to move on and enjoy life, remember them by sharing pictures and stories like we have done is something beautiful to that. That's part of the healing journey. Yeah.
I can tell you, even as a family member of a veteran, hearing about the good makes me feel so much better about you guys serving.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, like I said, there's pride and honor in you guys serving, but there's a looming fear and whatnot, and that's not everything. You know what I mean?
It's not, but it is the reality. It is a piece, right? It's the piece of time and service, but it is not centric around death.
Right.
It doesn't have to be centric around death.
Right.
Wow. What a cool.
This is deep.
We got deep and we didn't really know what we were going to do today. Well, we kind of did, but
But it's good because we really hit on trauma and mental health and family relations and how it's all very interconnected.
all right, V, if you could look at the camera
Oh.
and give a final call to action to any veterans, community member, and family members.
Yeah.
What would be your final call to action on the way out, kind of in context to Andrew and what we've heard today?
You know what? I'm going to circle it back to something that Andrew said, and there's no shame in asking questions. You don't know where to start. You can always start with one of us, right? You're listening in, and if something that I mentioned, something that you mentioned, something that you mentioned resonates with you, connect with one of us. Don't be ashamed to connect with one of us and ask questions. And if I can't help you with that answer, I'm going to redirect it to someone that I know, strongly work with or closely work with that can answer that question genuinely. There's nothing wrong with asking questions and seeking help. There's no shame in that.
I love it. Andrew?
Perfect.
Same. How about you? Final call to action for brothers, sisters, siblings of veterans.
So I would say allow yourself to be vulnerable. And again, if they're young, it's a different kind of vulnerability, but it means a lot to them. And it teaches them how to be vulnerable. So even for the young ones, allow for vulnerability and allow for a safe space for them to share what they're feeling and for you to share what you're going through and what you're feeling, is what I would say.
That's great.
It's good.
I want to highlight again, it's we don't want to stick to the number a day, the ones who take their lives. It is down considerably this year, down to 17 a day, but we don't want to highlight that the number 17 is significant. We want it to be 0. So we want every one of you to know that your life means something to us. And no matter what darkness you're in or isolation or the pain inside, the struggles with trauma, the memories, or the survivor's guilt. No matter what you're going through, your life means something to us right here at this table. That's why we're doing this. So please don't ever feel you have to take your life to end it. There is resources and healing methods and modalities and people you can talk to. We have an email, bridgingthegapvetspodcast@gmail.com. Go down and see V at the Veteran Center, please. We love you, and we want you to breathe every single day on this earth. That's why we do this here, and we're going to continue to do this every single month. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you all for being in the hot seat.
Thank you
Jeez.
for giving me your seat.
Yeah, I know. It's comfy, isn't it? There at the end of the
I
table.
love this. I think
I didn't fidget with my thing as much.
I know. What's going on? Why are you doing that?
Oh, we didn't
I was fidgeting with mine, actually, now that you
Yeah,
mentioned
because
it.
they're in the hot seat.
Yeah, I know. I'm sweating.
We have a good treat next month. I'm in the process of setting up a pretty cool podcast, so please come back next month
Next
and
month.
watch what we have to do. I don't know.
Yeah, leave a cliffhanger.
Love everybody. See you next month.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.